Hey there, friends. Welcome to the Being Brown and Bold podcast. I'm your host, Jess Thomas. We are excited about inviting you into some delicious conversations today, and we're going to step out of our comfort zone, be bold, and take chances. Today, I am chatting with Monica Sunny. Monica is the founder and the CEO of The Chai Box, an ethical and sustainable tea company that specializes in hand-blended loose-leaf chai blends and small batch chai concentrate. Previously, Monica worked as a human organizational consultant for Chick-Fil-A, where she designed training models, conducted ROI analysis, and built competency models for the company's hiring practices. All I want to know is, did you get waffle fries? Because that's what's most important. The journey of the Chai Box started when Monica had her 3 boys and wanted to instill the love of chai. Her family started sharing this ritual with other family and friends, which ultimately led to the creation of the Chai Box. What started as a side hustle in her basement has now grown into a full operation in Marietta, Georgia. In 2021, the Chai Box was selected as one of Oprah's favorite things. And most recently, Monica was given a grant and mentorship opportunity with the Tory Burch Foundation and Stacy's Rise Project, which, if you don't know what that is huge in the business world, in small business world, in women-owned businesses. That is like amazing. So it is so awesome to have you here, Monica, on the podcast.
Hi, thanks so much, Jess. I'm honored to be here. Thank you for having me.
So tell us, Monica, other than the bio, because I think sometimes we define ourselves by our career, or we pick different things, but I want to hear from your perspective, what does it mean to be you?
Well, as you can see, I'm having my chai, my 3rd cup for the day. So cheers.
Cheers. I got my chai on too. I was like, I'm getting ready.
That is a beautiful pour,
Cheers.
Jess. Cheers.
Thank you.
Cheers. Wow. Awesome. When I saw the question, what does it mean to be me? Well, I'm a mom. That I am. You're a mom, I'm a mom, and that is pretty much my identity for the longest time, and it will continue to be. But more than that, I am a chai boss, and the way I became a chai boss is really in my own home. Just teaching my boys how to make chai, and so we've kind of mastered the art of chai making, teaching them how to do it my own way, because everybody has their own way of making chai. So I'm a working mom. I get to wake up every morning and do my dream job, which is to make chai and teach people how to make chai. And I'm very thankful for that opportunity, because I am grounded in my culture, in what I do, and spreading that love of chai and the knowledge of the chai, where it comes from, how it's made, all that stuff. So that's who I am. That's why I'm saying the chai boss. So I should have worn my shirt, the chai boss shirt.
I love your chai boss shirt and like your mug when you pour the chai and the letters appear.
Yeah.
That's so very cool. And that's actually how I started to get to know you, because I feel like you don't just share about chai, but you kind of share your heart and your life. So when you do your chai meditations in the morning, it's so fun to see how it's not a product you are selling. It is who you are. Yeah. And so I teach people about chai up here, which you call cha and I call chaya.
Yeah.
And one of the things I teach people is it depends on your language. And the only reason we really call it chai in America is because of Starbucks. Yeah. But if a Malayali started Starbucks or started introduced tea,
it would be chaya.
It would be chaya, right?
Chaya. Yeah.
So tell us a little bit about your cultural heritage and how that informs your life and work.
So I'm originally from Punjab, North India, Punjabi.
Yes.
So Punjabi people, obviously, just like most of the Indians, love cha. And I grew up in India until I was about 9 years old, and then I moved to the US. I learned how to make chai when I was probably like 5 years old. That was the first thing I learned how to make. So chai is ingrained in my upbringing. It's ingrained in our culture. Watching my grandfather drink a whole kettle of chai every morning. I saw that the minute I woke up. I watched my mom do chai meditations in the morning, taking time for herself. So that culturally has been ingrained in me, and that's what I wanted to teach my boys when they, grew up here. They're born and brought up here. But that's a little piece of my childhood, my culture that I wanted to introduce and make sure that carries on to them. So I feel like that part of the Indian culture and Punjabi culture, that's what I'm still trying to do. Teach it to others.
That's really cool. Yeah. I'm surprised as a 5-year-old, they would trust you with like boiling things. Like nobody was scared?
Yeah. No, my 3 boys, they all went to Montessori school. So Montessori teaches you life skills, like how to, like they were sewing, they were hammering, they were ironing, washing dishes, all that stuff in school. So it was very natural for them to wanting to learn how to cook and learn how to do things. And having 3 boys, Jess, I was like, you know what? I need to teach these boys how to do things in the kitchen.
Yep.
Okay, because I am not, my husband always says I'm the queen of the house, but I was really the maid, right? Because I'm always like cleaning up the stuff. So I'm like, you know what? My daughter-in-laws are going to love me because I'm teaching them how to cook, how to clean, how to do laundry. So, so I started that very early in age, when they were little. So learning how to make chai was just something that was part of our routine. And yeah, they were very excited about it. In fact, the chai boxes, they're the ones who called it the chai box. They would say, Mom, let's get the chai box out, which had all the spices and the tea leaves and sugar and a little index card on how to make chai. And they would say, let's get the chai box out and make chai. And it's still dear to my heart.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
Because you didn't okay, so here's a question. Do you have a masala dabba for chai and a separate one for cooking?
Yes, you have to, Jess, you have to, because I don't want any haldi and any kind of spices in my cha. That I don't want. So
Right.
You have to have it separate. So that's why we have the masala dabba and then we have the chai box.
That's really cool. Yeah, I firmly agree. Identity as a mom and what are we instilling in our kids? Yeah. I have 2 boys and a girl. And I had always felt like they need to learn how to cook. So when they leave my house, they can feed themselves, but they'll also be popular because everybody will be like, wait, you know how to cook?
Yeah, that is so true. In fact, my oldest right now, he's actually studying abroad in France, and he pretty much cooks for his floor because he was like, Mom, people ask me, you know how to cook chicken? And he's like, well, yeah, I've been helping my mom since I was little. So it is, yeah. I'm like, it's helping him, it's helping him socially. And, girls are very impressed by a guy who can cook. So
yes. And it's funny because I grew up drinking chaya, and when we made our chaya, we didn't put any spices in it unless it was like some special occasion, and then we might put cardamom.
Yeah.
And originally sugar was cooked into it, but as my parents got older and got more diabetic, and it's like, oh, where'd the sugar go? And so I think I drank it too much, so that when I was an adult, I didn't really drink that much. And I did a study abroad in England, and I drank tea where you put the hot water on the leaves, especially Earl Grey. So I went into this tea drinking phase, and I didn't drink chai for the longest time until the pandemic. And I don't know, like watching you and some other people, do you know Kevin Wilson?
Yeah.
Watching him, I was like, why am I not drinking chai? But my daughter, she did a study abroad in Indore in Madhya Pradesh. And that's where she learned masala chai with the ginger. And I was ginger averse before. And I was like, oh, there's so much ginger. Now, there's actually ginger in here now.
Yeah, mine too. I put candied ginger.
Oh, I'm there with the mortar and pestle. I actually bought a mortar and pestle that you suggested, or like you had like a tutorial of like which are good ones, and then so I got a granite one.
Nice.
So it was my kids actually that started making chai. So every time they're home, they're like, "Who wants chai?" And they're making it for me.
That's awesome.
It's such a cool, like cultural thing to pass on.
Yeah, absolutely.
So that's really cool. Okay, so you learned when you were 5. But also when you were a kid, what did you imagine your life would be like as an adult? Like, what did you want to be when you grew up?
So, I grew up my parents are immigrants, moved here, and just like pretty much every immigrant, we have that story. My parents owned a Dairy Queen. So at a very early age, like, I think like 10 or 11, I started like working at Dairy Queen. Of course it's a family business. I would make my cones and blizzards and all that. I knew that I did not want to own my own business. I was like, there's no way. You don't have any vacation. You work all the time. This is not a life for me. And then, of course, I went to college and did my undergrad in education, and I did my graduate study at Vanderbilt, did human and organizational development, and I was consulting the Accenture, and then I opened my own consulting firm. I'm like, oh yeah, I'm totally in the corporate world. I get to do vacations, and then this happened, and now I have a business, but we are closed on Sunday, so at least I get one day off. Dairy Queen was not; it was 7 days a week, 10 to 10. It was intense. I watched my parents work really, really hard, and at that time, I didn't realize the work ethic that they were instilling in us. I was kind of one of those teenagers. I never get to have Saturdays off. All my friends are hanging out, and I'm having to work, and didn't appreciate that. But now I do the same thing to my kids. I'm like, you will appreciate it one day. You will, that you're learning so much being in a family business. But yeah, I didn't envision myself having a business, but here I am.
Yeah.
And I love it.
And I feel like watching you all, even though you work weekends, it's like farmers market where it's fun and interactive, or like the trade shows.
Yeah.
And it seems, yes, I know it's a ton of work, but it feels like it's rewarding work because you're making so many people happy. And I see you're instilling that in your boys and their friends that are helping out. So it's so cool to see it's joyful work. It's not, draining, sucking the life out of you.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. We have, so like I mentioned, I have 3 boys. So it's been an evolution of the type of team that we've had. So my, oldest son, Ethan, we had all his friends all through high school and, maybe for a second year of college. And then my middle sons, his friends, and my youngest now, his friends. But the cool thing is, we kind of see them grow and, through high school years and then in college, and they come back on breaks and they still want to be part of it. I've had my like people that are Indian, kids that are Indian, their parents and the grandparents are sending me messages and video and saying, I cannot believe like our kids are learning about chai and, wanting to make chai. So it's nice to see that we are making that impact as far as connecting them to that part of the Indian culture. I never thought that would be happening, but I'm thankful it is.
Yeah, I like that because it's opening. I feel like chai is a very good start to opening conversations about culture and food, because you're talking about all these spices, which then it's not just what we drink, it's what we eat, but it's also like, I love when you talk about the health properties of all of these different spices.
Yeah.
It becomes holistic. So it's like a bigger conversation, and it all starts with this, which feels small, but I think it's huge. Yeah,
absolutely. And, like growing up, my mom would, like if I had a headache or if I had a stomachache, just like, we'll make you jump, you're sick, we'll make you jump, like whatever is happening in your body, because my mom always says, my grandma too, like every sickness starts from your gut. So if you take care of your body, you take care of your gut. And that's why a lot of Indian people, you have chai in the morning. It's a slow release of caffeine and all those spices that have these health benefits that, all are from generations. Like Indian people have been using that, and and I used to kind of fight it. Like my mom, I would say, Mom, just give me a Tylenol, please. I just want Tylenol. Like I don't need, cinnamon kind of rubbed on my temples. But of course, I was also a teenager. But those things are priceless, things that you learn from your parents and your grandparents. So I'm trying to get all those recipes, like my nani's recipe I have, which is for cold, and it's called chai tonic, which is for cold and flu. And she would use brahmi in everything. So that's one of the key ingredients, tulsi and brahmi in my chai tonic.
I don't know what brahmi is.
Brahmi, look that up. It has amazing health benefits. So tulsi and brahmi together, the properties and along with star anise can fight cold and flu.
Wow.
Like I think star anise has the properties very similar to what you find in flu medication. So all those three things working together, pretty powerful stuff. And I had added elderberries because I always gave my boys elderberries, but getting these recipes from my family and my nanny and my grandfather, it's, just, I'm just collecting them, but I'm very glad to know that people are experiencing them and, and learning all about chai. It's not just an overspiced, oversugared drink. It is truly part of our culture. And it's been there for years, and it has some amazing health benefits. So that's what we're trying to do, spread that love.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. And that is why all these spices are now in my chai before they weren't.
Yeah.
Okay, so you grew up at Dairy Queen. You knew you didn't want to have your own business. So when it did come to your career, did you have like a thought of this is what I want to do? Did you have any difficulties in choosing a vocational path?
So let me back up. When I said I don't want to have a business, I knew that I didn't want a food business, right? But I always knew that as a Punjabi, the entrepreneur spirit was in me. My dad had his own auto parts company in India. And I knew that eventually I wanted a business where I didn't want to work for anyone else. Like I wanted to work for myself. So after college, when I was consulting, very soon after I had my boys, I started my own consulting firm. So that was something that I always wanted to do, have control over, flexibility of my schedule, because I wanted to be a working mom. But I wanted to be there for the boys, their school and throughout, don't miss like any of their plays and, recitals and stuff. So having my own company as a consulting firm really helped me to do that. I mean, I would stay up till 2, 3 in the morning. I couldn't do that now, but it's amazing what you can do when you're young and when you have little kids. I think the young moms are like the most efficient workers ever, I couldn't do that now.
Right.
But yeah, so that it just kind of, that's the route I wanted to take. But the chai path just kind of came literally out of my kitchen, literally grew in my kitchen.
Yeah. Wow. So you did have a mindset of being an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
So tell me about the transition from like what you studied in college, those previous jobs, especially consulting, and then getting into like your own consulting. So, because obviously you had business background to start the chai box.
Yeah.
So how were those transitions? Oh, because you started in education, you said, right?
Yeah. So my undergrad's in education because I wanted to teach. And I think it's all connected, because this is what I do now. I love teaching. Even my chai meditation in the morning, it's all about teaching, but when I did my master's, I went into adult education, which is organizational development. And I think that just kind of exposed me to all sorts of business models as I was consulting. I was at Goldman Sachs, Bank of America, and I traveled a lot to New York. And then when I was actually pregnant with my oldest son, Ethan, in 2000. And that's when, like 2 months prior to 9/11, I got transferred to a project in Atlanta. And I remember that was in August and that happened in September. And that kind of changed my perspective. I was like, I'm pregnant, oh my God, what's happening in the world? And I knew at that time, very soon, I was going to make a transition to where I didn't have to travel. I didn't have to do, be in corporate America. And that's when I started planting the seeds of me having my own consulting firm so I could have more control. So that transition was slow, but it was very intentional. When I did have my own consulting firm, I could pick and choose what projects I wanted to do. And, if I wanted to travel or, what hours I wanted to work. So, I mean, life's a smooth sailing until started the chai box. Then it was like, oh my God, I'm working like 80 hours a week. And, but you're right. What you said earlier, it is truly rewarding. And when you see your family working hard for your dream, you see an impact on your kids. My boys now are interviewing in college, whether it's for a club or internship. And guess what they're talking about?
The chat box.
they're talking about the chai box, and people want to know how you grew up in a small business and, what have you done? And they're like, Mom, just being able to tell, like, hey, I used to put stickers in my basement on the tea bags, and, and then we moved into a facility, and now we do fulfillment, and we talk about marketing. So anyway, it's beyond fulfilling. Like, I don't even know the words, and but I hope this is a legacy company that my boys want to take over. I mean, we're very, very small. But in my heart, it's huge, it's huge for me to be able to work with my husband, work with my boys, and have an impact on our community. So yeah.
Does your husband work full-time for the Chai Box too?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So I think that's probably one of the key is like, it's a family project. Yeah, it's a business, but it's something that your family does together. Yeah. And probably that's why I'm like getting like choked up. That's why it's so meaningful, because it's your whole, like in the same way with your parents and working with Dairy Queen. Yeah, it was your business, but it was like your family coming together, and you're instilling those same values, which I think that's one of the biggest benefits of being South Asian is the value of family and togetherness and belonging.
Yeah, listen, if a family has a family business together stays together, because listen, there's a lot of bad days and there are good days too, but you stick through it. You're there for each other. And nobody knows that better than my family during the pandemic, while we were working in our basement with masks on, with other, our community helping us. And my youngest son was like, Mom, pandemic was hard, but it was even harder to have a mask in your own house and have people working in your basement. So I know that my boys had to sacrifice a lot. But I think they've learned from it, I hope they did. I hope they have that sense of the family togetherness, and that you have to work hard. There's no doubt.
Right. No, I can tell, like, from your Instagram, your boys like you. It's one thing to like to love your mom, but to like your mom, that's like a huge win for you, especially like living cross-culturally and cultural identity in our kids. So I think, you're totally winning. Okay, so I want to switch with like from the boys to like your husband. So with like your family expectations, maybe tell a little bit about the story of like, you're from a Punjabi family, he's from a Malayali family. I'd love to hear like the fun stuff, but any of the challenges or the learning curves of having like a cross-cultural marriage, which some people don't even realize. Just because you're Indian doesn't mean it's the same culture. It's still cross-cultural.
Yeah. So my husband and I, the only thing, his name is Sandeep, but he goes by Sunny. So his name is not Sunny, because a lot of people think that. But the only thing Sunny and I have in common is that we're from India. We speak 2 different languages, 2 different religions, 2 different types of food. Like, we, so when I'm the different, I love it. And 2 different ways of making chai. In fact,
right.
He is not a chai drinker.
And you love him anyway.
He drinks coffee, and he grew up with coffee, so even though like I kind of, I knew he was from India because obviously we talked, but we started dating and I didn't know he was Christian. His name is Sandeep. So is
Sandeep his given name, his first name?
Yeah, so it's a very Hindu name. I didn't even think, like, I grew up, I didn't really know any Indian Christians, and so one day we were on the phone and he's like, well, all right, well, I gotta go, I have to go to church. And I'm like, well, don't you mean like temple, mandir? He's like, why do you call it church? He goes, because it's a church. I'm like, hold on. It's like, I go to church, I'm Christian. I'm like, oh, okay. I didn't know that, but that was it. I mean, it was no like hesitation. Oh my gosh, what are we going to do? But that was the religion piece was never an issue, just because I grew up, my dad has this saying about like, there's one God, Hinduism is a very accepting religion. And aside from that, my dad just taught us to respect every religion. And he used to say, you can touch your nose like this, you can touch it like this, you can touch it like that, whichever way. The point is you're touching your nose. So that for us, or even his parents, that was never, thankfully, never an issue of that two different religion. I feel like what I gained from, aside from, he's a wonderful guy, lovely family. What it did to me, I became a spice snob, marrying into a Malayali family.
Yep.
I mean, talk about the best spices ever in Kerala. And I learned, his mom taught me, his aunts taught me how to make Malayali food. Oh my gosh. And I love cooking, and the way they mix spices. And I mean, it's just, the cooking is a totally different level. I mean, Punjabi cooking is really good too, and I know how to do it, but learning how to make Malayali food is amazing. And then learning like all about spices, and actually going to Kerala and going to these spice farms and just seeing, and not even farms, like his grandmother's house, just seeing coconut growing or black pepper growing
in their
or
backyard.
cardamom in their backyard. And I learned so much about that. And I feel like it's like full circle, like I was meant to meet Sunny. I was meant to, appreciate Kerala and go there and learn about tea and spices. So I became a spice snob. So that's why when we had to start Chai Box, I'm like, there's no question in my mind that we're going to source our spices from Kerala and from small scale farmers. That's our non-negotiable. We're going to give back to that community. And we get good stuff, so.
Yeah. Was he born there or here?
He was born there. We actually came to US the same year and lived maybe a mile from one another, but never met each other until college.
Wow.
Yeah.
The reason I ask is because he likes coffee instead of chai, is because so many Malayalis, we drink coffee because we grow it in our backyard.
Yeah, exactly.
My aunt roasts her own coffee because it's there.
Yeah, same with
and people don't realize.
Family. Yeah. It's
and
awesome.
People don't, actually, something I learned over the pandemic is that we also grow chocolate and vanilla beans in Kerala. I'm like, say what?
Yeah.
We have pure vanilla beans. Why are we not getting any of that? And they just export it. Like Malayalis don't use it. I'm like, I cannot believe we don't use it, because the chocolate things we could be making.
Good stuff. It's good stuff. Yeah.
Were there any, and then did you all do the thing? Because my dad's last name is now Joseph, because his first name is Joseph. Yeah. And so in Kerala culture, the woman takes the husband's given name as her last name. So my mom came to America first. She was a nurse, and she was Anima Joseph because she took my dad's first name. His last name is much better. So then when he came, they're like, wait, you have two different last names. She's sponsoring you. And they're trying to explain, no, that's a culture. And they're like, no, this is America, you don't do that. So they gave him Joseph as a last name to match my mom. So now he's Joseph. So, so is your husband's last name and your last name different then?
No, it's same.
Okay.
Yeah, it's the same name. Yeah, I know a lot of people do that in Kerala, take their husband's name, first name to be their last. I didn't want to do that. And I think he didn't want that, so we could all have the same last name.
Right. Yeah, that's a cultural thing that I'm like, yeah, we're not doing that.
Yes, not doing that. Yes.
Yeah. Were there any other Kerala expectations or Punjabi expectations of him that's not related to faith or food even, but I don't know, customs, or even your wedding? How did that go?
Oh my gosh. So we had 2 weddings. We had a Hindu ceremony 10 a.m. in the morning, followed by a full mass of the Christian Catholic ceremony. And then we had a reception in the evening. It was a very, very exhausting day.
Because you're probably up at 4 getting your hair and makeup done.
Yes, it was a very, very long day. And we were exhausted. I wouldn't do that again. My dad was like, Munna, he calls me Munna. He's like, Munna, you sure you want to do this? You guys can you don't have to do a big wedding. I can just give you, this much cash and you can do a small. I'm like, no. I want to do this. I want to wear the mantragodi and all, all the stuff. And I want to do the Indian. So it was Yeah, it was a hard day. All we had to eat was a vegetarian Subway sandwich because we were so busy. We didn't even eat our
Wow.
food at the reception. But as far as expectations, I think both cultures, have all these rituals, right? Like the Punjabi wedding, like 4 days before the wedding, everything starts from batana, to do the haldi, and I think for Sunny's side, like the Madram Vekete thing, and so it's like I think we both were around each other's families long. We dated 7 years before we got married. I was 18.
Wow.
I was 18 when I met him. He was, so we dated 7 years and then we knew each other's family. So we were very much involved in the planning and so it wasn't like a big shock or anything on our part, like what the expectations were. They were just like, you just got to do it. Like, you don't have a choice. You
Right.
just do it. And yeah, it was a lot of fun. It was a fun wedding. I think according to Indian standards, it was a small wedding, which was only about 250 people,
Wow, that's super small.
I know, right? But that you wouldn't hear that other than from an Indian person.
Right, because I
Yeah.
had 500 at
Yeah.
my wedding, which was in
Yeah.
Chicago. My husband's family's from Chicago. Then we did a separate reception in New York, and that was another 500 people.
That's crazy. I know. I know. We had a really small wedding, 250 people. That's it.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
good for you. So you talked about like your sons and their friends, everybody helping out. So I feel like and even like when you have like scenes at your storefront, that you have lots of young people. So it's so cool because I feel like you are a mentor and a role model for these young people, but you also get to eavesdrop on their conversations. And their generation is so much more different than our generation. We didn't grow up with anything digital. We didn't know about everything around the world immediately. So there's good and bad, but are there any topics that you hear the kids talking about that you feel like people need to hear this about this generation, about how they are processing things, thinking through things?
Yeah, I mean, I think, well, first of all, you're right. There are a lot of young kids, like a lot of college students and juniors and seniors that work at the Chai Box. And I am their Chai mom. Like, that's what and that's like, listen, you're working, but school comes first. Just always remember, So one of the things that they are very much so health conscious. They're what I call the conscious consumer, like just in general, Gen Z. They're very much involved in like what goes in their body. They wanna they talk about working out a lot. Just eating right, working out. Yeah. And it's just like, okay, we do legs this day and this. I mean, it's like everybody does. Okay, we're gonna the thing is, what I notice is their schedules are so packed. They go to school, like the amount of work that they actually do throughout the day is kind of exhausting. So I don't know what's happening to my kids' generation. They're just so busy, but they don't. Just like, I guess when you're a new mom, new parents, like you just keep doing what you're doing, you don't realize it. But I like step back, I'm like, how are you going to school, then coming to work, and then going to work out, and then going to this meeting and that meeting, and getting your homework done, and then get up in the morning and do it all over again. So I don't know. I think they are worried about what they eat, and they want more wholesome food. I mean, don't get me wrong, they do go ahead and have their burgers and fries and stuff too. But I mean, more importantly, I think they're more aware of taking care of themselves. And I think maybe the pandemic has something to do with that. People, realize how important it was to, socially just take care of themselves, be around friends and eat the right food and do the exercise and, all those things. So I don't know if that's the product of the pandemic, but they're great kids. It's a privilege to be working with them, teaching them. Like, I hope that we're teaching them life skills, and making an impact on them, and talking about the social impact that we're making. And I hope, one of the things they always say is, Miss Monica, we like the fact that what Thai Box is doing, they're having impact in India, and, how we're giving back. we're sustainable, and that's where the world is going, right? We want everything to be sustainable. Just to hear them say that they see that impact, and I hope that they can take that with them the next job after college, and they choose the companies that work well for them, that they can believe in. So we'll see.
Yeah, no, it feels like you've got a really great crew there that are very thoughtful. And I think, as you say, their schedule, I'm like, I think it's because they've chosen not to waste time, right? Like they're making use of, whether they're taking care of their bodies or wanting to have an impact on, as opposed to like playing video games for hours and hours, and watching Netflix for hours and hours, right?
Yeah.
Which they could be doing that, but this is what they're choosing instead. So
exactly.
Okay, so like the last couple of years, it was so exciting when you got the Tory Burch and now Stacy's Rise Project. And some people don't know what that is. And I was like, when I saw that you got both those opportunities, I'm like, that's phenomenal. And then everybody knows Oprah. So when you got Oprah's favorite things, I'm like, that's amazing. So maybe you could share like how you were even led to those opportunities, and like what the repercussions are of those things.
So, it's been a long journey, like for us, like to get all this happened in a short span of time. But just like everything else, there's like a big part of it in the back, right? There's always the back of house of a restaurant, and then the front of house. The front of house looks all well put together. There's a back of house that's working their butts off, right? Spinning and working. And so there was a lot of wheel spinning, a lot of work that led up to what happened, like, the past couple of years. It started for me literally going to store, say, hey, let me set up shop here for 8 hours on a Saturday. I would get my boys to put up a tent and put up tables and get people to try my chai. Every one person that walked in Pottery Barn or Williams Sonoma or Cook's Warehouse to say, hey, I want you to try our chai. Each person, I would spend 20 minutes talking to them about teaching about chai. So there was a lot of work that went, into that. And then it just kind of, I feel like that really made me realize how much I wanted this, right? So when you have that drive, when I'm willing to go do that for 8 hours every Saturday, that kind of builds up this fire in you that I want this to work. So, I was like, I'm going to go ahead and invest in a trade show. Like that's what one of the first things I did. It was very expensive, but I feel like there's some chances you got to take and believe in your business, and then say, you know what, whatever happens, happens. So at least one thing I've learned from my dad is take the chance, take those every single things that you can, because you just never know what's going to turn out. So I feel like the fact that I've taken chances, sometimes blindly, has led me to, like, one of the things was the Oprah. We got an email asking to submit samples, and I think they had seen they did see us at a trade show. But a year and a half later is when they reached out, and it was a Gmail email, and we were like, what, is this real? Is this true? So I talked to the lady, and of course, it turned out to be, she was watching my chai meditation on Instagram, and also
cool.
She happened to be an intern at Oprah Daily. So anyway, so that chai meditation that, that was never meant to be, I think we were talking about that earlier. For me, chai meditation is not content creation. Like, it cannot be that, because once it becomes a content creation, then it's work, right? For me, I truly do it for myself, and I do it. I get up in the morning and that's what I do. I don't like get ready for it or anything. I just, video it. So making that commitment to do my chai meditation every day, never thought it would land me on Oprah, but it did, which, oh my God, it is absolutely a game changer. It is probably the hardest I've worked to make that happen, because you only have 2 months to prep up everything, and they tell you to just get ready, and it is a game changer, in fact. Really.
Wow.
But Tory Burch is, I feel like that's one of the first thing that I applied for, and it was like writing a dissertation, because Tory Burch, the whole process of applying makes you really think about your business. Like, what do I want? Like, what are my goals? And I didn't even have a business plan.
What?
I know. I did not have a business plan. It just happened. So, it was like one step at it. Like I literally
Yeah.
was like looking down, just keep working.
I'm
But
actually shocked by that because of your business background. That
I
that's
know,
crazy.
I know.
That's
But
like,
the
that's
thing
great
is,
because it's hopeful. Like
it was
you
here.
don't have to have it all
Yeah,
together to start, right?
right. I mean, it was here. It was in my brain. It was there.
Yeah.
I was working towards it. Like I was working through it. Right. But applying for Tory Burch really helped me put it on a piece of paper and really make me think about my business. And then when we got that, it was phenomenal. Tory Burch Fellowship it's amazing. I think
Yeah.
everybody should apply. I think just the process of the application is just tremendous. And then Stacy's was the first grant that I applied for. And again, the same thing. I think Tory Burch made me think about my business plan and operations. For Stacy's was like, okay, if we give you this grant, how do you, like, what are your challenges? It's like another next step in my journey. What are your challenges? How are you going to overcome them? How can we help? And I don't know, I feel like these things have just come into my life at that time that I needed it the most. But didn't come without a struggle. I mean, that's so saying, like when a door closes, another one opens. My dad would say one door closes and a slight crack in the window is there. It's not gonna open for you. You've got to push it. It's a crack, like literally open that window that will turn into a door for you. So it's a hard work through and through. And I think that's what I've learned from my dad, watching my mom and dad work, is like opportunities are there, but nobody's going to hand them to you. You've got to work for it. So that's what I'm doing. Like, I'm just, working for it.
Yeah. No, that's really inspiring. Like there are things that you are really prepared for, things that you think through, and sometimes things just happen and it's all of it collectively, right?
Yeah.
Except the part of you working hard. Like I know that you hustle, but I know, I mean, obviously from your chai meditations, right? Like, and you say every morning, take time for yourself. So other than your daily cha, and especially when your kids were younger, like now that they're older, they drive, they do everything. How did you balance taking care of yourself with all the responsibilities that you had? Because I think a lot of moms find difficulty in doing that.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's different things, right? That bring you comfort, that you take time for yourself. I mean, it was very hard. I'm not going to lie. I had 3 boys at the age of 3.5 and under. So, and I was, it was not pretty. But, you make it happen. I took my conference calls in a closet, close the door, while they're napping. So, but what you need is a community, like whether it's your husband, your mom, your mother-in-law, your friends, like, you need that, you need to depend on. If I didn't have that surrounding me, you can't do it alone. I'm sure you can't. I couldn't do it alone. So I had to have a supportive husband. I had to have my mom help, my dad help, and our friends and family help. It was hard. I'm not gonna lie, but I feel like it kind of prepared me to say, you know what? When something is hard, you work harder to achieve it. And that's what I was learning from my parents, it was hard for them to move to this country and work hard. So every time things got really hard for me, I think about what my dad said, get on that train. Like ever since it was little, he said in Punjabi, like get on that platform and, get on that train because it's going to keep going and, it's going to stop at different places, but you don't want to miss it. So that's always in the back of my mind. I'm just going to get on the train and figure it out.
Yeah.
So that's what I was doing.
I definitely feel like it's a journey, right? Like it's not a straight line. It's not always, there's uphills, downhills. And like, I think like from a spiritual standpoint, I think of that too, of life as a journey where you can make plans but like that train, if you don't know like the destination, like it can go all different ways. So
and you
like
don't need to, and you don't need, I feel like that's another thing. you don't really, because you never know where that train is taking you. You kind of have an idea, but you don't know all the wonderful, amazing things you're going to see along the way.
Right.
So I feel like you can't be so regimented about this is where I want, because you never know who's going to come in your life, what's going to happen. So you have to be ready for that. Sometimes there are challenges, like sometimes it's great opportunities, but yeah, you got to just get on that train,
Right.
take the ride.
Sometimes there's tragedies, right? That kind of derail you, and that you're like, oh, I did not plan this. Right. So yeah, so you've experienced culture in India, Punjabi culture, Malayali culture, New York culture, Atlanta culture, so many different things, and encountered so many different people in your journey. And you've seen faith expressed in all different ways around the world. Do you feel like spirituality does also, or any belief system or faith, in the way that you see life, in your outlook in life?
Oh, absolutely. Every day.
Yeah.
I mean, every single day. I mean, I don't, not for a second, take for granted, who I am, where I am, where I'm planted. I think there's a reason for everything. I hated the fact that my parents moved to US. I hated that at age of, this is like 5th grade, middle school, changing countries. And I was like, never understood why we would make that change. And, but this is where we were meant to be, this is where we're meant to be. This is where I was meant to be planted and grow. So I'm very thankful for that. Every day, I don't take for granted that my parents moved here, worked really hard. God had a plan. I truly believe that God has a plan for you, and you just have to just go along with it, So,
no coincidences.
No, it is all meant to be. It is, my dad says, and I know I quote my dad a lot. My dad is my business consultant. I literally call him every single day in the morning, every day on my way to work. Good morning. Kihala, like every single day. And he always tells me, Munna, whatever is meant for you won't miss you. So even when things are hard and things don't turn out the way you want and hope, there's a reason for that. There's a damn good reason for that. Remember that. Like whatever's, and you're on a path to something. So don't let this stop you.
Yeah. I love this bond that you have with your parents and with your dad, especially, to hear that it's like a friendship that's like a deep friendship that is father-daughter, but it's like deeper. That's so cool.
Yeah. Thank you.
Okay, I know nothing. I didn't grow up around any Indians, actually, other than like my Malayali family. I grew up in an Irish Italian Catholic neighborhood, and I did not ever meet a Punjabi until I went to college. So I know very little. Yeah, I know very little about Punjabi culture. Is there something stereotypical of your culture or background that is actually true, that people are like, oh, Punjabis are like this, or Malayals, like that kind of thing?
Yes,
or
of
even
course.
Indian.
Punjabi are like party people, and it is true. Like we love to eat, we love to drink, we love to party. I mean, there's a reason Bhangra is big, like
that's true.
And then we're just born to move our shoulders, and that, very much so. Yeah.
I ended up becoming president of our India club when I was in college.
Okay.
Nice. I was trying to learn about all these things. So like we had teaching dance, because like I didn't know Gujarati, was it Ras and Dandiya? And I didn't know Bhangra either. So I'm like, I gotta learn this stuff so I can like do the Diwali show or the Holi show. Mm-hmm. But I'm glad that you are the party people, because we're the party people. Yes. We
are the party people. Yep.
Okay, very important question. Do you have a curry plant?
I do.
Yes.
It's my husband's curry plant. He's the one who takes care of it. He waters it because I can't. I have a black thumb, so I will kill it. He takes care of it.
We have them, and they like almost die in the winter when we bring it inside, and they're spider mites, and then they somehow revive, but they don't ever grow big. My parents, they're like 4 or 5 feet tall in New York, indoors. Wow. I'm like, I don't know how you do it. So
I can tell you. Yeah.
Well, that's good. Yeah, I feel like that's a mark of an adulting for Indians is if you
Yeah.
can sustain a curry plant.
My mom grows all sorts of stuff. She'll give me tulsi plant
Yeah.
all the time. And at this point now, I've killed so many that she basically just dries the tulsi leaves for me and puts it in a little jar and gives it to me. So I have tulsi, but you know, she has the
Is
plants.
tulsi, is that best in a dried form or is it best in a fresh form? Or does it matter?
I mean, obviously, I think fresh is always good, but you can't always, you can't you can't have tulsi all year round. But yeah, my mom does a really good job of harvesting it and drying it and preserving it.
And that's holy basil is the English translation, right?
Yeah.
So if you had a tulsi plant indoors, would you take that fresh leaf to put in your cha?
Yeah. Oh,
You would?
yeah.
Okay.
I mean, until I kill it, I use the leaves.
Okay. Like mint, same thing. Like it's the same family, right?
Is it?
I
don't
think
know.
basil, in general, basil and mint,
Okay,
I think they're
basil.
all the same, genome or whatever.
Okay, I trust you.
If you are not drinking cha, do you have another favorite beverage or is it like cha all day, every day?
I mean, I like an occasional latte coffee. I mean, yeah, I like Indian coffee, the frothy one. And
Yeah.
I have a latte machine, so I'll make coffee too. So coffee and chai, same.
Yeah.
Well, not same, coffee, chai and coffee.
I drink coffee for the caffeine and I drink tea for the pleasure of like feeding myself because I use real sugar in the raw when I drink my tea.
Me too. Yeah.
So based on everything you know now at this point in your life, what would you say to 18-year-old Monica?
I read that question. I was like, oh my God, I don't know what I'm gonna say.
I had one, somebody I just listened to said, I wouldn't say anything because that would change the trajectory and I needed to go through this trajectory. I'm like, oh, that's wise.
That is, yeah. I mean, I think I would say, listen to your parents. Listen to them. Because, as a teenagers, at least I think I knew everything. I could tackle everything and I had to answer for everything. You get older, you get humbled. You don't know. And your parents, they may not know everything, but they sure do know a lot. So I would say, listen to your parents, learn from them, because that's what's going to take you through life. Because, like literally it's their advice every day for me keeps me going. Yeah. And I'm fortunate to have my parents right now. And believe me, I don't take that for granted every single day. I'm thankful for that. But their wisdom will stay with me, So I would tell my 18-year-old, like, hey, don't think you know everything, listen to your parents. Yeah. It's like a mom thing to say, right? Like, listen to your parents. But
it's wise because we all figured it out much later, right?
Yeah.
And then, like I like to tell my kids, my parents came here before the internet. They couldn't Google anything. I have no idea how they did all that paperwork to even get into this country and all the discrimination that was there in the 1970s. I don't know how they did it.
I mean, my parents would always say, and that hard work pays off. It really does. Like you have to work hard. Things just don't come to you, And another saying that's one of my favorites is like, pain passes, beauty remains. So that what got me through like grad school and pregnancies and like pretty much, business and so many other things in life. So, but it is the pain will pass and the beauty remains.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the podcast is called Being Brown and Bold. So if there are listeners who are listening that are hesitant about making a bold move, is there something that you'd like to tell them?
Just do it. It's just another move.
Yeah.
Just do it. I mean, don't wait around for anything. If you feel it in your heart and you want to try it, because there's no better time than right now. Just, I would say, go for it.
That's awesome. Anything coming up at the Chai Box that you want to share, or anything that you're planning? I know that you have chai blending classes that go on.
Mhm.
Is it every month you do that?
I do that once a month. So we will be doing them online very soon because,
Really?
yes, because we have so many people that can't make it, that don't live in Atlanta. But we've had people come from Nashville, people come from North Carolina. Like we've had
Wow.
people drive 3 to 5 hours to come. So that's
That's
another thing. Yeah.
genius.
Yeah.
Like
So
if they
watch out
get
for that.
the kit and you send it to them and they could
Mhm.
do it, that's
Yeah.
genius.
Yeah.
Awesome.
So yeah. Yeah.
Cool. Well, thank you so much, Monica. This has been such a fun conversation, and you're just so inspiring because you're so authentic and genuine. And there's not a lot of people out there like that, especially like in the business world. So that's one of the things that drew me to you in general. So thank you so much for having this conversation with me.
Oh my gosh, thank you. I admire you. I love the fact that you're doing this podcast. I think that is amazing. And you know what? It's so good to surround yourself with positive people. And you are one of those people that I admire. Like everything that you've done, you're not afraid. You're bold. Like you're bold. You get on that TV and you talk about, hey, let me show you. You know, that's amazing. So keep doing what you're doing too, Jess. You're
Thanks.
wonderful.
Thank you. Yeah, and I think one of our first like collaborations, whatever, is you sent me some of the chai concentrate and I was
Yeah,
making a couple of recipes for it. I'm like,
yeah,
this is the coolest thing, like women supporting women. Um,
absolutely.
which by the way, those things were delicious. I'm like, I need to come down. I need to come down there. We need to, I'll make you some sambar and
Okay.
dasha. So we'll do like some Kerala
Yes,
cooking.
I'll make you cha.
Perfect. It's a
Done.
perfect
Done.
combo.
It's a date. It's a date. It's a date.
Thank you.
It's a date. Mhm.
Cheers.
Cheers.
So
Wonderful. Yeah.
thank you all for joining us for this episode of Being Bold and Brown. We'll be back next week with our next episode. Until then, be wise and be bold.